Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. How's everybody getting along here? Well, yeah, things are rather a little bit on the boring side this week, but you know what? I have some news for you. Things are going to get a bit more exciting going into early next week, stretching through much of next week. And it's this first trough that really starts to dig in here from the central states back east, where we start to see this energy really starting to form here. The European model's really taken off with this. GFS, not so much. We'll analyze both of them here, but this is the late weekend into Monday system. This might be something very promising if you're in interior parts of the Northeast and New England. We could be looking at a low-pressure system moving up along the coast and then bringing heavy snow inland here. And watch this. This pattern remains very ramped up as we go in time here. Look how that really just solidifies up in the Canadian Maritimes here. That low pressure winds up big time here. And what takes its place here Wednesday? Look at this big old trough digging behind it here. This is where we have something really interesting starting to form here. This energy out of the south. So you got the two branches of the jet stream starting to come together here. Will we finally see a proper coastal system here for the Northeast come later next week? So we could see a 1-2 punch here. Take a look at this. Thursday into Friday. This might become a pretty wound up system if the Euro holds true here. There's that southern branch of the jet stream coming up right along it here. Lots of energy feeding into it. Let's get into it. All right, so let's take a look at 500 millibar flow here. The rest of the week's pretty ridgy here across the east. And look at this. Yeah, this is Friday. There's that system bringing about 3 to 6 inches of snow across the Adirondacks into northern New England. I'll show you snowfall amounts momentarily. But the feature I want to show you, the first one for next week, it's digging down across the southern plains here, parts of the southwest. You see how that ejects into Sunday. This is going to be a 1-2 punch. Here's our first one. Here's our second one. This is later in the week. This is Monday, by the way. This is going to affect the East Coast later in the week. This one is on Monday. This could be an interior snowstorm for the Northeast. If this plays out just right, just the way the Euro is saying it's going to pan out, but there's something even bigger behind it. Look at this digging across South Texas. Watch how far south this digs. And you got two areas of energy up here, one across the lakes in the upper Midwest and here south of Louisiana by Wednesday. It's how these two interact. Watch how this just forms into one massive trough, negatively tilts, and this could be a cyclone that bombs out across the Northeast quarter heading on into Friday, January 27th. It's still a bit far out. We're out 10 days or so, 9-10 days, so please stay tuned. But the pattern is definitely here. Just getting the storm to line up is the tough part. I just wanted to show you briefly on the GFS here. Take a look at this. This is Monday. GFS is a bit further to the north. The same idea, though, is there. Look how further to the south and west that second feature is here on the GFS. And as we go out in time, you have ridging across the east on Wednesday. But look at this. It doesn't fully consolidate here in the east. It kind of hangs up here across central North America, not bringing us that big East Coast snowstorm. All right, so taking a look at the GFS heading on into the weekend, the 22nd into Monday, the 23rd. So you get a burst of snow here on the north side on the GFS. Not as exciting as on the Euro. Warm air tends to win out here on the GFS track. And, you have some wet snow on the backside, staying mostly all snow here in northern New England. Now, what happens throughout the week? Gets really quiet here initially. There's the Wednesday storm into Thursday. So the GFS, once again, is taking the storm much further inland here than the Euro, keeping the colder air here in interior upstate New York, Ohio, these areas, and bringing rain to coastal areas of the mid-Atlantic and New England. So, all right, so starting off with the European now. Take a look at this. So, yeah, we get rid of that system slowly in the Northeast. It's just a washed-out system, a mess. But we go with this next system, this plain system. We're going to see an area of big snows here with this high pressure to the north supplying all that cold air. Unfortunately, for you snow lovers in the east, you're on the backside of high pressure and the front side of low pressure. That means, that means more rain eventually moving in for later Thursday here. Take a look at the next system moving into northern California, bringing heavy Sierra Nevada snow and heavy rain in the valleys. But take a look at this. You do initially see a onslaught of some ice, sleet pellets mixed in the north there, but that quickly changes over to rain. And look at that. The warm air wins out. You do get some brief bursts of heavier snow, and then we try to redevelop a coastal low off the coast. It will be a weak coastal low. We're not talking about a bomb here. As this primary low weakens, you'll get this secondary low forming here off the coast. But the interesting thing is about all this is, let's just back up here. Let me show you what's going on here. So as we head into the weekend, that system moves off the coast here, and we get a cold area of high pressure. Now we got this big old trough digging into the west here. We got high pressure across the east, this cold high. Might have some cold air damming initially on the east side of the Appalachians. We'll have to watch that. That's where we get some of this heavy ice, heavy snow in the Appalachians. So this is Sunday, the 22nd. See all this heavy snow breaking out across the parts of the Ohio Valley. This is something we got to keep an eye on here. Now take a look at this. Indicators on the Euro are going crazy here for this system. So we might actually have something developing here. We'll have to take a look and see if anything's going to, if these trends continue, which on this initially this first trough that digs in on the 23rd, this would spell some very heavy snow for parts of interior New York and Pennsylvania. So definitely want to keep an eye on this. Look at 993 millibars heading right over Philadelphia. This is the early morning hours of Monday. So yeah, if you're in this area across the Northeast, the European model is really dumping a dose of very heavy snow. Look at that, 988 millibars in New York City, right around just before sunrise here. So 983 millibars. The GFS really isn't doing this a whole lot here. You can see heavy snow continuing inland here across parts of central northern New England, interior upstate New York, and that continues as we get this down to 979, 975. And look at it is a fast mover though. That's the only saving grace with keeping accumulations a bit on the low side. But watch what's waiting in behind it here. You have this low pressure here coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. And as we continue, let's see how far we can go out with this. It does try to become a coastal hugger. This is Thursday, January 26th. Yeah. Wow, that is pretty interesting. 969 millibar low. The European is going crazy with this pattern. High pressure to the north. And this might actually, if this pans out, we could see some heavy snow for coastal areas for a change. And if it does, look at 962 millibars, that would be a full bona fide blizzard here. Definitely something to keep an eye on here. All right, so if you want to take a look at the European model snowfall, here it is. You know, this week, this takes us through like Friday into Saturday. Yeah, you will be getting, according to the Euro, some decent snows up here into parts of New England and into like northern New York, into New Hampshire and Vermont. And then, of course, over here in the plains with these Colorado lows, anywhere in the 6 to 12-inch range, and then 12-inch plus here right around eastern Nebraska. Here into northern New England, parts of upstate New York, the Adirondacks, St. Lawrence Valley. Yeah, you could see some significant accumulations later this week. And then look at next week, though. Yeah, that's that first system. This is rather interesting. In fact, let's zoom into the Northeast. All right, so the Northeast here, European model. So this is like the Friday time frame. So if you're in the Northeast here, I think it's more likely advisory criteria, but, some areas could see that 4 to 8 inches of snow, probably more likely 3 to 5. But if you're in northern New York, parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, as this draws near, I'll get more into this, but, at the current time, this is your best shot at some snowfall with the next system that'll be moving up from the south and west. South of this line, however, north of Albany, is showing 4.7 inches for Albany. We'll have to see if that really actually materializes. Not really buying it. But, everything down here, is a rainfall again. Now, as we continue further out in time, of course, this is going to lay on top the current snowfall, but you can kind of get a good idea of what oh, wow. Let's just stop Tuesday next week. So the Monday system, this would be adding on top of what the Friday system brings. But take a look at this. Yeah, you could be seeing, if this materializes, especially south and east, this gives us a good indicator. if this were to fall as heavy snow, you'd be getting over a foot of snow here in the Binghamton area, Wilkes-Barre area, Syracuse, Albany, and then, of course, Northeast. That's just adding snowfall on top of snowfall, the 4 to 8 inches that you potentially see on Friday. So really interesting here. And then look at that. If that next system happens next Friday, the 27th, that's just going to add more snow. So this has got the potential to get us a good snowpack here across the Northeast if things align just correctly. Because I really caution you here, because look at the GFS. Yeah, the Friday into Saturday system, I think it's pretty evident that, a lot of areas could see low-end warning criteria snowfall here across the Northeast. You actually could see, mostly advisory criteria, that 4-6 inch range. So let's go out next week with the GFS. Yeah, you can see, once again, it's favoring northern areas. The same old areas up in the Adirondacks, the White Green Mountains continue to get the same old. And then you just keep adding to it the Friday, the 27th here. So, yeah, you don't really see anything happen down in the coastal areas on the GFS. So this is why I'm cautioning everybody. Not to say the GFS is right. European's a darn good model, but let's stay tuned. All right, so as we take a look at the GFS here, the surface map that is, take a look. There's Friday into Saturday of the weekend. Then we head later into the weekend. Here's that next system. You got this weaker low to the north. You got some subtle hints that something's trying to develop here, but it just doesn't congeal like it does on the Euro, and it's a little too late here. It does start to develop into parts of interior New England. So if you're into snow, this is definitely not the solution for you. The Euro is definitely more in line with probably most likely what you want. And then we get later on next week, Thursday the 26th here. There's that heavier burst of snow with the Ohio Valley low staying stronger longer here. They're upstate New York into parts of New England. Coastal areas don't get any snow, though. Look at that. And then the low develops too little too late for snow lovers here. So GFS is continuing to be further northwest and inland. However, it has been trending a bit further south as of late. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on here. And there it is. We can go further out here on the GFS, not to say that, you should really pay too much attention to this, but the trend is here, getting these low pressures starting to develop further to the south and finally getting some cold dome highs to the north. All right, so as we take at HRRR future radar, take a look at that intermountain snow here. Northwest rain, and look at this back east here. Yep, you have this really weak system that caused some freezing rain in upstate New York, parts of northern Pennsylvania earlier. That will pinwheel throughout the day on Wednesday across the Northeast. So let's just back that up just a little bit. You're going to see some scattered rain and snow showers. So here it is through the rest of Wednesday here, 8 a.m. So getting out there to work and school, it is going to be mostly in the form of showers, maybe some mixed precipitation in the higher elevations in upstate New York here. But most of the rest of the Northeast looking pretty nice. Look at this, though, in the Ohio Valley. You're not going to see snow until you get to the northern fringe up here into parts of the northern plains. This is where you'll see some accumulating snows here. And look at that, a nice wide swath. But look at this. You could see some strong thunderstorms here across parts of the south. This is 11 p.m. Wednesday. And look at this system. It's following this similar Colorado low. Take a look at, let's get rid of that for a second. There is that low pressure here heading up towards the plains. And look at that, dragging that cold front to the south here. And out west, you have another system moving in. Central Sierra Nevada is getting heavy snow here. So yeah, as we continue throughout the rest of your week here Thursday morning, take a look at that. You have a brief period. Let's just back that up slightly here. You have a brief period of mixed precipitation on the onset here in northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Binghamton, Rochester area. But look how that quickly flares into rain here 1 p.m. Thursday. Yep, you'll be getting 1/4 to 1/2 an inch in most areas. And look how that snow continues here across Wisconsin. So look at that. Just let's do a time lapse here. Yeah, that's a lot of snow. Long duration event here, especially for the state of Wisconsin. Severe weather across the south for your Wednesday. Look at this. Yeah. This is going to be a pretty volatile day from western Tennessee, parts of extreme southwestern Kentucky, extreme southern Illinois, stretching all the way southward to Louisiana, and extreme parts of east central Texas here. So please keep an eye to the sky. keep advised of all those watches and warnings. And look how far east the thunderstorms could stretch on Thursday. Yeah, the slight risk here across parts of Alabama, western Georgia. Just a generalized thunderstorms as far north as Buffalo, New York. And if you take a look for your Wednesday, tornado threat is a concern here across parts of the deep south, mainly the mid-Mississippi River area on Wednesday. And I just wanted to show you something off the northeast coast. This almost became subtropical. It was dubbed an invest system, and look how ominous it looks here. This helped feed into that, mini coastal system that we saw off the northeast coast. But take a look at that. That's becoming pretty interesting and trained up into the westerlies by later Wednesday. But it is an interesting little feature. It shows that we can have systems that come close to subtropical storm status even in the middle of winter time. All right, hello all my Caribbean friends out here in the Atlantic, Central American friends. Great to see. Look at that. Just a beautiful time of it. Although by the 27th of January here, you could be getting some showers coming in from the northeast here. Just some light showers, nothing too terribly heavy. But look at that. Yeah, you will be getting some stiff northeast winds here. Humidity will continue to be pretty low here for Caribbean standards. And let's take a look at the Western Pacific here. Take a look at this. So yeah, we have some interesting weather here up into parts just north of the Philippines initially. But look how quickly, that dissipates. This is by Saturday, the 21st. The big story is going to be, as I showed you in the previous video statement here, look at this. Yeah, this is all heading towards the west here. As you can see, the frontal boundaries, the westerlies this time of year is protecting much of Asia and into parts of Taiwan and Japan, obviously. So what we're going to keep an eye on here is the Philippines. Everyone in the Philippines should keep an eye on this because look at this is by the 22nd, this coming Sunday, just in time for Lunar New Year here. I know this is definitely not what you want to hear, but look at this. This system will be bearing down on the southern Philippines, it looks like, by Monday, 7 a.m., the 23rd here. So look at this. Lots of heavy rain continuing into the 24th, and that starts to lift up towards the central Philippines by Tuesday, the 24th. So take a look at that. That's just continuing as we get this moisture. The good news is, however, at this time, it does not look like any one of these develops into any sort of a major tropical system. We might have some sort of tropical depression or maybe even a weak tropical storm. But right now, although look at this over towards southern Vietnam, this does look pretty ominous by Sunday, January 29th here. Take a look at that. And we continue to get some more showers and thunderstorms moving into the central and southern Philippines. But look at this. This is by the 31st. Things are really starting to calm down a bit until we get another flare up over here. The intertropical convergence zone is remaining pretty active here east of the Philippines. So we'll continue to watch it here. I'll keep an eye on it for you because this is February 2nd. Could have another system bearing down on the southern Philippines. All right, so take a look at the temperatures here on the European model. Not always the best way to do a 2-meter temperature here, but look at this. As we head towards Friday into Saturday, there's the overnight lows and then the highs. We're getting up into the upper 30s there across parts of the Northeast. But what I'm focusing on here is this cold air building up across the northern plains in the Intermountain West. Look at this. This cold air slowly retreating out of northeastern North America. So watch this. As we head into Monday, what the European model does is this storm, this potential coastal system, tries to, manufacture its own cold air and starts to bring down this pattern change. Usually you have to have a big storm to get a pattern change going on. There it is, Tuesday morning lows. Wow. Let's just back that up slightly. That's some single digits there across northeastern Pennsylvania if that verifies. This is rather interesting. As we head throughout next week, there's Wednesday's lows into the highs. So the trend on the European model has been a bit colder as of late. Let's take a look at total liquid precipitation here. This takes us through the weekend here. Look at this. So yeah, we get some pretty hefty liquid equivalents here in parts of upstate New York, northwestern Pennsylvania with that, Thursday, Friday system here. Take a look at this across parts of the deep south with some of that stronger to severe thunderstorms. Thankfully, it doesn't look like any major areas of flooding, though. And look at this here across the Pacific Northwest into northern California. We'll continue to get pummeled with some of those systems. But look at this. If the Euro verifies This heads out through Friday, the 27th of January. This is a noticeable trend. If you look anywhere in the red here, that's 2 to 3 inches. So it's a large swath of the Northeast. And then across parts of the Southeast. And look at these oranges here. This is 4, 5, 6 inches here across parts of the Panhandle of Florida, southern Georgia here, parts of eastern New England. Definitely want to keep an eye on this. This is a trend that could be trending a bit more stormy. Not to say some of this is probably overdone, but we'll keep an eye on it here. Extended outlook from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, upper Susquehanna Valley of upstate New York and northeast Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. Wednesday, a few showers, less than 1/10 of an inch. 44, pretty mild into your Thursday as well. Rain will be moving in, maybe onset of snow initially, but rain will be the name of the game, less than 1/2 an inch. Heading on into Thursday night, rain continuing into Friday. 1/4 of an inch additional on Friday. And look at this. By the weekend, we cool it down a bit. And Sunday, we'll watch for that rain possibly changing to some wet snow with that big next coastal system. We'll have to take a look. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern. Also, Hurricane Northeastern at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.